Hey everyone, this is Steve Rosenberg with Mynd Property Management, and I'm here in Houston, Texas with Margo Broughton.
Hello.
Margo's got 37 years experience as a property manager. That's a lot, huh?
That's a lot.
So, and with this topic, it's very important to have experience because what we're going to talk about today is when a natural disaster hits.
And
they do. How do you handle it? So, just to give people an understanding, a natural disaster normally in Houston or in Texas is either going to be a tornado or a named storm in the Gulf of Mexico, a hurricane. So Margo, let's talk a little bit about that because we just went through Hurricane Harvey.
We did.
And that was a huge test of wills and of everything.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the disaster hits.
Okay.
How do you, and you can explain how we handled a lot of the things that happened and what's some advice for investors, how they can handle after a storm comes through?
Sure, absolutely. Now, we did it as a professional management company, obviously, so we have, a lot of boots on the ground and that sort of thing, so I'll kind of go through that. But as a property investor, the most important thing is find out if your tenant's okay.
Absolutely. Safety is paramount.
Absolutely. So, and then in the case of Harvey, as you guys know, I heard somebody on the radio just say the other day that there more water dropped in Houston during Harvey than goes over Niagara Falls in a year.
Yeah.
So
it was an amazing amount
of water.
It was a lot of water.
So there were places that we couldn't get to for a period of time.
Yeah.
So what we did was we had a group of people that were calling the tenants to make sure that the tenants were okay, or were they still in the house? Could they access the house? That sort of thing. So as an investor, you could do that yourself.
Absolutely.
You call your tenants, make sure they're okay. That's number one.
Right. Or if you can get to the property.
If you can get to the
property. If you live local and you can get there, that's something. But you want to make sure that the house and the tenant are both safe and secure.
Correct.
First and foremost.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of clients that are overseas.
Sure.
So they depend on us to make sure that their tenants are okay and their property's okay.
And people watching, you may not live locally in Houston, but you may own real estate in Houston. And that's something to think about is what are the steps after that you should take or that you should know to take when that happens, because it doesn't happen all the time. No. But when it does, there should be a protocol of what happens and a plan that you put in place.
Well, and fortunately, that the weathercasters have been very good about being able to know when these storms are coming. Right. So we usually have some time to get prepared at least.
Right.
So that's a good thing. So we try to notify our tenants, notify our owners, especially if they're overseas. Hey, we've got this bad storm coming, and we'll keep you posted.
Right.
And so as we go through the process, the storm is done. Everybody just hunkers down till it's done. And then we get out there and find out, is a tenant okay? Right. And then as soon as we can, we are going to get out there and look at the houses.
Absolutely.
Because we want to see if they've taken on any water.
Yeah.
Because it's paramount, especially in our climate, that you get out there and get the demo done ASAP.
Right, because when there is water and you're in Houston where it's a humid area, mold happens. Fast. And once mold happens and it spreads very fast in a property, now it becomes, your problems become exponentially higher.
Absolutely.
And so, when you have a property that floods in a disaster or something happens, again, I cannot stress enough how quickly you have to get to the property, make sure the tenants are safe, paramount, make sure the property is secure, and if there is damage, you've got to get that mold and everything out of that property as quickly as possible.
Get it dried up as soon as possible. Now, what some people don't know, and I'm sorry, but this is gross, but if you've got rising water, you've got sewer.
Yes.
So now you not only have mold, but now you have
sewage.
This on top.
Yeah.
And so now everything you're pulling out of that house becomes toxic material.
Yeah.
So they won't even pick it up. The sanitation people won't even pick it up. You have to have special sanitation people pick it up and that sort of thing. So obviously the top priority, check the tenants, get the wet stuff out of there, whether it's carpet, sheetrock, whatever. Get that out of the house. get fans in there as fast as you can to get it dried up. Now, as a professional property management company, one of the things that is an advantage for us is we have loyal contractors.
Right.
So they're going to put us at the top of their list.
Right.
And then that can be an issue too, because now you've got people flooding into the Houston area
Absolutely.
from all over the country who might not be,
and they may not know what they're
really
doing or
good
know, you know, again, and you bring up a good point that you may not understand that, number one, the stuff that you're bringing out of your property could be toxic.
Yep.
And number two, the people you hire may not know that as well, and they could make the situation worse.
Absolutely.
By not getting on and getting it fixed. One thing I would advise, and I know that we did, is you may want to make some communication plans that letting the tenants know that maybe you're going to do outward communication if you have multiple properties, that you are going to maybe use social media, or you're going to create a Facebook group for your tenants. And that way you can push information to them, because during Hurricane Harvey, when a natural disaster hit for us, and when it will hit again, phone lines become unusable.
Yes.
So now you have to use digital means to get out there. So again, you may want to let your tenants know that, hey, I will be pushing information to you. And again, one of the things that we did is we got a lot of the local federal information, FEMA, towing of vehicles. Your vehicle may flood. You may have to get your tenants' vehicles towed. There's just a lot of things that you don't think about that now you're scrambling for it after.
Yes. And one point I want to make too before we close out is, of course, you want to report this to your insurance company. But keep in mind, you don't have to do that right away.
Right.
You can make a claim later on. Get the wet stuff out of the house is the most important
Very
thing.
much. And you know, and I think we've hit on this a lot, but communicate. You've got to communicate with your tenant. You have to let them know the expectations, because if not, they are going to be trying to call you because they don't know what to do.
Right.
They may have evacuated and they aren't at the property and they don't know what the property looks like. So if you just keep thinking you're calling the tenant and the tenant's not answering and that's all you need to do, they may not have been in the property. And sometimes when you're in an area that flooded, you can't get back into the property, into the neighborhood. So nobody is putting eyes on the property. So again, if you're out of state or you're not local or you don't know how to do this, you may want to set up some relationships prior, get the federal government phone numbers and contact information, have that handy.
Yes.
And I would suggest have some form of outbound communication set up, pre-set up with the tenants, so that you know that they know how to communicate with you and vice versa, so that you're not trying to use phone lines. And that to me was my experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Margo, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
If anybody wants to get a hold of us at Mynd, you can go to our website, mind.co. So it's MYND.co. Also, you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, the Mastermind Real Estate Investment Club. This is Steve and Margo. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.